So guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. So guys, I think a fight between Chris Eubank and Gennady Golovkin would be a great fight. How would you guys see that fight going? Do you still feel Gennady Golovkin would knock out Chris Eubank? Or do you think Chris Eubank could pull off an upset? Because even right now, I still think it would be an upset. Just because of the fact that I think Gennady Golovkin is still a world champion. Still a very dangerous fighter, no doubt about it. Although, let's be honest, he's seen better days. He is past his best. Could Eubank outwork him? Could Eubank use his speed to trouble Gennady Golovkin? Now, Eubank has got a granite chin. However, for me, he gets hit a lot. And against someone like Golovkin, who cuts off the ring, who's very powerful, that could be troublesome. Because really, if you look at Eubank's career, he's not really fought anybody. Like, he's fought George Groves, but that was a faded George Groves. And a faded George Groves really handled him quite comfortably, really, when you think about it. You know, he fought Billy Joe early on, and that was a close fight. But again, I always thought Golovkin would beat Billy Joe. Styles make fights, and I think Golovkin's style was all wrong for Billy Joe. Eubank's got fast hands, but that's it. You know, he's still working on those pads, showing his speeds, but like they say, pads don't hit back. Listen, Eubank, I like Eubank. I think Eubank is quite underrated. I think against certain styles, he could do well. And the Golovkin fight, for me, is a good fight. Listen, I would still favour Golovkin. I'll still favour Golovkin, but I don't think it's as big a mismatch now as it was when, you know, he wanted to fight him when Brook fought him. I think then Golovkin would have battered him. I just think Golovkin was a wrecking ball at that point. I do think now, I think the fight would be more interesting, more intriguing. I'll still favour Golovkin, I'll be honest with you, and probably still by stoppage, because I just think Eubank makes a lot of mistakes and he's hittable, and Golovkin's still a very vicious puncher and he hasn't lost his power. And I think, although Eubank's got a granite chin, I do think that granite chin would be tested against someone like Golovkin, especially the fact that he'd put constant pressure on you. And I just don't think Eubank's got anything to keep Golovkin off. I don't think Eubank's got the power to really hurt Golovkin, if I'm honest with you. And I think Golovkin would just pressure him all night. Now, will he have the same work rate, Golovkin, that he had? So will he be able to use his legs that he liked the way he was earlier on in his career? Because, you know, his legs were a very important part of the way he used to cut off the ring. Can he do that anymore? Can he move like that? You see, these are all things. Golovkin's on the slide. So if Eubank's ever going to beat Golovkin, it's now. Because let's be honest, 4 or 5 years ago, he stood no chance. I know they were giving it the bravado and said they wouldn't have beaten Golovkin. But if there's any time where you give him a chance, it's now. Because Golovkin didn't look good against Derevyanchenko. And if I was Eubank, I think that's a fight that he should be targeting. I think all of them should be targeting Golovkin. Andrade. Although I think Andrade's style would suit Golovkin. And I think Golovkin might Andrade out. But again, if you're Andrade, you're looking at Golovkin slipping and thinking, you know, you could beat him. And Eubank is fast. He's got a very good chin. Great stamina. He likes having a tear up. But the problem is with Golovkin, someone like Eubank, like Saunders, is slick, and those guys would have success. They may be able to make Golovkin miss. But the thing is, for me, that those guys don't have power. And Golovkin's got great feet. He'll cut off the ring, basically stop you breathing. You know, Golovkin will just be on top of you all night. And you know, those guys use up a lot of energy anyway with their styles. And I think Golovkin will catch up with them and stop. I would favour him against those, you know, slicksters, because I think Golovkin's so good, got such good feet. He's got better feet than Canelo. He cuts off the ring so well. So against fighters like Andrade and Saunders that, you know, haven't got much power, that are looking to outbox you, because of Golovkin's great footwork, which I don't know whether is the same, right? I think he would cut the ring off, and I think he could really hurt Saunders or Andrade. With Eubank, he has a different style. Eubank likes to have a fight, which again would play into Golovkin's hand, because Golovkin is the bigger puncher. He is the better boxer, right? But if Eubank can take the punishment, and stand there and fight with him, he could potentially outwork Golovkin because of his hand speed and his work rate. And and Eubank's the type of guy where he struggles with guys that move like Saunders or Andrade. So Saunders and Andrade would be the wrong style for Eubank. That's what I mean. Styles make fights. Just because the same way I think Golovkin's style would be a huge problem for Saunders and Andrade, right? Although I do think Golovkin's style is a problem for Eubank, it just depends on how Eubank's able to hold the shot against Golovkin. And listen, Eubank's shown quite a sturdy chin in the past. And yes, it's not been against anyone of Golovkin's power, but he still showed a sturdy enough a chin against Groves. You know, he took a lot of punishment in that fight, and he still showed a sturdy chin. Now, Groves doesn't put as much pressure on you like Golovkin, and he may not have the power of Golovkin. Maybe, you know, Groves is powerful, but I think Golovkin will punch harder. I know Martin Murray said Groves punch harder, but, you know, Golovkin stopped Murray, and Groves didn't, you know. Maybe what he meant by that, more power behind one punch, but I think just Golovkin's relentless pressure, which Groves doesn't do, by the way. I think that would be a problem, you know, because Golovkin will keep coming all night. It's just that, can he do that at this stage in his career? That's what's intriguing, because Golovkin's on the slide. Could Eubank take advantage of a diminishing Golovkin and potentially win a points decision? I don't see him stopping Golovkin. I don't think anyone would stop Golovkin. I think Golovkin's tough as nails. He's got a granite chin and he's just a tough man. But could Eubank outwork him? Could Eubank use his speed? And listen, he's going to have to show better footwork as well. So hopefully the work that he's been doing with Roy Jones helps him, because he's going to need to. It's going to need to, because if he fights someone like Golovkin, he can't just stand and have a toe-to-toe tear-up with him, because Golovkin will come out on top, because Golovkin's a bigger puncher. Golovkin's got a granite chin. Eubank doesn't punch as hard as Golovkin. So Eubank's putting himself in danger going toe-to-toe with somebody that punches as hard as Golovkin. So Eubank's going to have to box smart. He's going to have to avoid a lot of shots, because the shots that you may be able to take from somebody else, you might not be able to take for someone like Golovkin, because Golovkin hits very hard. And yes, you might be able to take a couple, but over time, he'll wear you down. Look what he did to David Lemieux. He literally battered him, literally decorated his face. You know, it's the relentless pressure and the power that's going to eventually break you down. So you can't be taking too many shots from Golovkin. So he needs to be smart. He needs to box smart in that fight. You can't just have a 12-round war with Golovkin, because I think he'll come out second best and he'll get beat. He has to box smart in that fight. So he's going to have to show some ring IQ, boxing IQ, some ring generalship. He's going to have to show us what he's learned under Roy Jones, because if he goes and has just a war with Golovkin, then I don't see him winning that. I think he's going to have to show some kind of intelligence, which he hasn't shown thus far, you know. Whenever he's got somebody that, you know, puts a jab in his face and moves, he struggles. Now, Golovkin doesn't have that kind of style. Golovkin's a pressure fighter. He'll walk you down and cut off the ring. So it'll be intriguing. That fight would be intriguing. Styles make fights. And like I said, 4 or 5 years ago, I think Golovkin would have beat him comfortably. But now I still would favor Golovkin, but I don't think it's as easy as it once was. I think it's actually a tough fight. I actually think it's a good fight. I do. I think it would be a good watch as well. It just comes down to how much Eubank can absorb and what Golovkin's got left as well. Because if Golovkin's really on the slide and he's dipping fast, then Eubank might be able to nick a points decision. Who knows? You know, if it gets close, Eubank might be able to win a decision. But like I said, I would still favor Golovkin. I think Golovkin's the better boxer. I think Golovkin punches harder. I think Golovkin's got the better chin. I think Golovkin's got the better ring IQ. He's the better ring. You know, for me is the ring general in there. You know, so for me, Golovkin still beats Eubank, but again, we don't know how much he's fell off from where he was, because against Derevyanchenko, we saw a guy that looked past his best. And now that fight was a while ago. So has he slipped even further? You know, it's going to be interesting to see where he's at. And like I said, I would like to see Eubank fight Golovkin. I would love to see that fight. I actually think it's a cracking fight. And we need to see more. We need to see these fights, man. We need to see these fights because I actually think it's a very, very good fight. You know, Eubank's fighting Morrison. You know, Golovkin's talking about fighting Murata. I would like to see him fight Eubank. You see, before, Golovkin wanted to fight all of these guys because Golovkin didn't have anyone that wanted to fight him. And he was in his prime. He wanted to fight. He wanted to have fights where would increase his profile for the biggest money possible. Whereas now it's become about him waiting and him actually looking to duck and dodge people and waiting for that Canelo fight. Because let's be honest, he could fight Andrade and that fight could be made in a heartbeat. Like, he's looking for easy options like fighting Murata because he knows that he doesn't want to take risky fights and potentially lose because he knows that Canelo fight will go up in smoke. So he wants that Canelo fight. But I just don't know how long he can wait around for when you've got these young lions wanting to fight him. You know, Andrade wants to fight him. And he's talking about fighting Murata. But maybe he looks at Murata as an easy link. Maybe looks at Murata as a weak link and think, I can beat this guy and take his belt and become a unified champion. Then I become even more appealing to Canelo. I think that's the way Golovkin's looking at it. But he's thinking, why fight Andrade or Charlo? Because those guys are tough. Murata would be easier. Beat Murata, become unified champion. Then I become way more appealing to Canelo. And by then, Canelo would hopefully become undisputed in September. Then that fight between me and him becomes massive in December or next year. So I think that's what Golovkin's probably banking on, I think. Because he said he wants to fight Murata in December. I don't understand why that fight with Murata can't be made now. Why can't it be made for summer? Why does it have to wait for December? It must be something in terms of scheduling for the fight. Maybe it has to be in you know, a certain, they can't get the crowd now. Or there must be something, or maybe there's some issues, maybe COVID related in Japan. I don't know. But there was talks about Golovkin fighting Murata a long time ago. Because apparently it would be a big sell. It would be a big fight in Japan. So I think that's probably why. Maybe the situation in Japan at the minute isn't appropriate for them to do huge crowds there. That's probably why. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I don't know the situation. But I want to see Golovkin fight Chris Eubank. I think it's a great fight. I still favor Golovkin, but again, I think it's a more competitive fight than what it was 3-4 years ago. And I think it would make for a fun watch as well. And let's see how good Chris Eubank is. It would definitely be a step up from what he's been fighting. And it's now or never, right? When's he going to step up and take that next step? Because, you know, after Groves, he hasn't really fought. And he fought DeGale, but DeGale was way, way past his best. But then even after that, who's he really fought? He fought Korobov, and the Korobov got injured. And then, you know, and now he's fighting Marcus Morrison. So really, when you think about it, you know, we want to see more from Eubank. I want to see him jump into a big fight. So hopefully, let's see what happens. Leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below about this fight. Do you still favor Eubank to stop? Still favor Golovkin to stop him, or do you think Eubank could pull off a upset win? Leave your thoughts. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.